Hey y'all, welcome to the Unfiltered Dirty Air podcast on this lovely Wednesday night. It's Wednesday, right? Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah.
Nope, Thursday morning.
Yeah, Theme, your host. We got Matthew Kent, Brandon Fetterplace, Emma Kruger, and as always, Ryan Pinnell is here as well. So.
Hi. Yep, I'm here. So we got a guest with Emma. We'll get to her here in just a second. Obviously, last time the podcast ran for almost 4 hours.
we ain't doing that.
Yeah, we are not doing that tonight. A lot of us have to get to work in the morning.
I have class tomorrow.
Exactly. Everyone has things to do, so we're not going 4 hours tonight, but we may be here for an hour and a half. Maybe Tommy Reynolds will join. That'd be great because that would be some good content here on the podcast. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So, Feem, I'll throw it back to you, and I guess I don't even know what we're talking about. I'll just be a fly on the wall, or maybe Fetterplace knows. I don't know. He has some good ideas. So, I mean, obviously we had A squared, so we could kind of talk about that.
Talk about that.
So yeah, let's start with
talk
A
about
squared.
Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emma, how's your playoffs going?
Yeah, it's been something else. Yeah, I've gotten fucked over both races already. I've finished multiple laps down. What's been happening is the headphones I used to have had a defective cable on them, and so they just disconnect and reconnect randomly, and whenever they reconnect, it fucking freezes my screen for 5 seconds.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I only get.
So it's not even internet related though.
No, it's fucking my headphones.
Jeez.
But yeah, I got new headphones now, so we're chilling.
Well, you're only sitting 7 points out, headed to Kansas, or sorry, not Kansas. After Kansas, headed to Bristol. What's the thought process of the high bank short track for you? You got Ryan Pinnell in front of you, who's only -3. Leiter, who's a spin out candidate for most corners, sits in the 12th spot. But you're also looking at possible new winners that could come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna do my best. Bristol, I think I've never done a race at Bristol, so.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know. I've done quite a bit of practice already, so I know kind of what I'm doing. But
By yourself?
I've done more preparation for this race than I have the last two. So.
I would say get in one of those NIS lobbies. Run, hell, it's 500 laps, but I mean it's tons of cars practice. Well, getting around cars and drivers to see what the reactions are, especially people hitting the wall off of 2 and 4, and what lines they're running. I know that's always been because it's just no space there, and you have to set your passes up 2 corners ahead. Are you looking just to find a good finish and then let the calamity of the other drivers get you in, or are you going to try and push the issue?
I'm just going to do my own thing, honestly. Yeah, there's no sense in trying to fucking shove people out of the way. But
of course there is.
No, that's exactly what I did in Kansas.
Well,
I ran my own race. I ran my own race in Kansas. I got stage points. I missed Darlington because I went to the Georgia game. That was my own fault because I
might as well miss Darlington.
I scheduled that race the same time that I was going to the Georgia game. Didn't make a whole lot of sense on my end, but now y'all can't collude against me saying that I changed the schedule for my own benefit because it was not my benefit at all to miss Darlington. But yeah, Kansas was good until We'll let him.
You mean until presidential racing decided to have fun in the last corner?
Look.
Whoa.
We'll let Emma finish talking about her race at Kansas before I out my 2 teammates for fucking me on the last lap, so we won't go there. Not yet.
I mean, my race was over before stage 1 ended. That was when I just said, "Fuck it, I can't race with this anymore. I'm teleporting all over the place." So I pulled it down pit lane and went 6 laps down trying to fix it.
Yeah, you were in and out. At least on my screen, you were okay, but I could hear the frustration in some of the race comms and things like that. And so as I watched the standings, I was like, "Oh, that's gonna hurt for him." And there were some other playoff drivers that had issues, so there was chances, but obviously a tough break. But you did pick up positions with drivers that naturally fell out of the race. So kudos for sticking with it and finding those extra points, because you could be minus 10 to 12 points, which is almost insurmountable.
Yeah, I at some point I was not fighting anyone the entire race, because I'm 6 laps down. I'm not going to gain spots. I don't want to be part of the problem.
Wait a minute, a driver with a logical race strategy? This is unheard of. And
come on now.
What? You got out of the way as a lap car, or what?
I'm doing the smart thing. No, I got chewed out for that at Loudon, remember?
Yeah.
In the hauler. But yeah. I don't know. At some point at the second overtime, I just said fuck it and put on a new set of tires, and I just started going ham. I went 5 wide at one point on the last lap. It was nuts.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. You did, you little bitch.
So,
hey, not intentional though.
Emma, looking at the 16 drivers, and headed for the playoffs, you being -7. What's your prediction for the what 4 do you see not making it into the round of 12 versus you trying to pick 12 drivers? Which 4 are not coming in?
Well, Purnell and Breo definitely.
You think that
unless they win, then they're fucked. Yeah.
I think those are pretty 2 safe bets. Let's say you do an immaculate job and you get in at the 12 spot on points. Who's the other 2 that you think are out?
I say Ryan and Leiter.
Woo!
Seems
I was ready to ask what everybody's predictions for who's going to be kicked out, actually.
Yeah.
Famester loves Bristol, so hopefully I have a good race.
I think if I make it into the round of 12, then I'm making it to the round of 8, though.
Oh, why is that? Is that just because the schedule kind of fits you?
Yeah, so much better than this fucking nightmare of this fucking playoff round.
Well, I guess you do have the Roval in that round. So is that kind of your check mark race where you're like, this is where I make up my points?
Yeah, that and Talladega. Texas is kind of a wild card because I've only driven there in IndyCar. So
I gotcha. What do you think about the NASCAR news with the Roval and how that might affect A Squared? Obviously, A Squared hasn't made any announcements yet through the admin council, but with NASCAR going back to stage breaks at the Roval, is that a benefit to you, or would you rather see the race just play out?
I hate it.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, I don't like it. Just let us race. I mean, maybe I'd change my mind if I end up in a lap 1 incident and I'm 20th at stage 1, but yeah, I don't like it.
That seems to be consensus around everyone. Is like, I hate it. Well, what if you get wrecked on? What if you get turned around on lap 1 and now you're 17 seconds behind? It's like, well, I'd love a caution.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I'm probably one of the few that actually thinks it's okay. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, some of these races get pretty boring. So, even our races, from the broadcast perspective, they don't have a whole lot to cover because one driver runs off with it, everyone else is all spread out. So with stage cautions, it bunches everybody back up, and it's a little bit more entertaining for everybody, I guess.
Well, yeah, I guess I agree with that in a way, because looking at this year, just our broadcast alone, I think the only entertaining road course had to have been Chicago, with how tight it was, and there was a lot of racing throughout that track, and the ending.
Yeah, first half of Watkins Glen with Proudfoot and Norman was
fun.
It was fun to
was
watch.
Good. That was entertaining.
But yeah, obviously Chicago being the new course, plus how it ended, and obviously boosted the excitement levels of that.
Yeah, but I think
God, we should get Tommy on the podcast. That would be good clickbait.
He's
Emma versus
coming.
Tommy live.
He's coming.
Oh yeah,
he's coming. He said he'd be about an hour late, so if you can hang out for another about 30 minutes, we'll get him on here and we'll revisit that. But
it's about how late he was on those breaks in Chicago.
Well, I was just gonna.
For real.
Yeah,
he didn't break.
Yeah, there was no break.
He did not.
He may have hit it
his brake lights,
bit, but yeah, the brake light came on for a second and then it went off. But yeah, I mean to talk about Charlotte Roval, honestly, I think it will be a better race no matter what we decide. Obviously, we are for the most part following NASCAR rules. Really, the only thing we haven't followed NASCAR with is the heats this year, which will be going away next year, which is a sad day for me. That is something that we have done in A Squared for a long, long time. But I left it up to a driver's vote because, everybody says that I don't listen to the drivers. I guess I don't listen to the drivers because we're doing away with heats next year. I left that up to a vote, and it was almost unanimous to do away with heats for next year. So that's what we plan on doing for next year. But to talk about Charlotte Roval, you're missing a couple people that have normally dominated on road courses. They're no longer in this series upon their own accord. It was not forced on them. It was not pressed on them. They made that decision on their own. So I think Charlotte Roval will be much better just because of that fact. Regardless of whether we, decide to throw an actual caution at stage breaks, which we probably will. We have not made that vote yet. We'll make that announcement here pretty soon. But I think it'll be better off regardless because I feel like the competition will be much closer at Charlotte Roval with this car with everyone that's racing and with the certain few that have decided to not race in A Squared anymore. I feel like it's going to be a really good race and I think it'll be close. I think there'll be some really good racing. But if there's some tomfoolery like we had at Chicago, we'll have to make the same decisions that we've made throughout the entire season. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, we'll act accordingly and make that decision if we have to.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at simply just the playoff field, and you mentioned the two that are that normally are really good on road courses not being available, but you're looking at Reynolds, Michelle, Gaiman, Kruger, plus you got Proudfoot that could come in and spoil the show. I mean, you're talking about 5 cars and under a blanket possibly going around that track.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all of them are very good. I know Daniel Michel is, as far as road courses go, Charlotte Roval is kind of his, he's got that in his back pocket. I've had several people tell me that Daniel Michel is very good at the Charlotte Roval. So we'll see.
You remember what he did at the 24-hour race?
Yeah, he was.
He lapped the field in his first stint.
Yeah, he was very good, very fast there. So we'll see what he can
do. I
do.
think I lapped the field in the Champ Car race there.
Exactly. So I mean, he's not the only competition. I mean,
yeah.
I won't be anywhere near. I'll be in fucking 15th, 16th. Trying to stay on the fucking racetrack. But we got 5 or 6 that I think that'll all be competing with each other to, win that race and get stage points. So I'm just trying to make it to the round of 12 so I can get to Talladega and do what I do at super speedway races and try and steal one. So we'll see what happens. But I got some work. I gotta rattle Matthew Leiter's cage a little bit. So we may see.
Yeah. What's the predictions? What's the predictions around the table for who's getting knocked out after Bristol?
Ooh.
Well, I personally have inside information. Austin Purnell is done. He said he had personal issues. Totally understand that. So Austin Purnell, that's one. He's done. Not coming back. Jeremy, I don't know if he'll show up for Bristol or not. He has missed the first two. Even if he does show up, like Emma said, he's got to win. I mean, there's really no other option. He's got to either win or win stage 1, win stage 2, and finish in the top 10 in the race. So I think Jeremy's got a lot on his plate. That again, I don't even know if he's going to show up or not. I mean, he didn't show up for the first two. I don't know that he'll be there for this one. So if he's not, then Jeremy will obviously be out. I got a lot of work to do. I mean, I made up some points at Kansas with getting stage points, and luckily the people that I were fighting with, struggled. I don't know if that's going to be the case at Bristol. So it's, to me, those last two spots are just up in the air to me. I don't even know if I can make a call on who makes it in and who doesn't. So I don't know. I think I'm out. I'm like when College Game Day, when Kirk Herbstreit can't call a certain game because he's calling the game later in the evening. I feel like I'm in the same situation. I can't call it. Call it.
Fetter Place is all but safe, so we'll let him, because Feemster and
I'm
Ryan,
in the same situation with Ryan
and Kruger are all same. So Fetter Place, what do you think?
Let's go with Oberstadt, Leiter, Brault, and Purnell.
A double swap at the bottom. Okay. Do you think that comes early in the race, in the stages where those points are made up, or you think this is a finishing position difference?
I have a feeling it's going to be early, because people, they know this is a cut race, so people are probably going to be driving over their heads early. There's going to be a lot of calamity, and I just feel like some of those will not make it out early and make it through the stages. So from then on, you just have to survive.
Yeah, so for sure. I hope from the production side of it, I hope the broadcast is all over points and being like watching where the differences are, especially because they don't have to track the heats, so that those points aren't kind of messing around with stuff, but they can just look at the stage and be like, Ryan finished in 7th and Leiter finished 11th. They're now tied for the bottom spot after stage 1, and Emma finished 10th and picked up 1 point. Now she's only 6 back, and strategies. They did a great job at Daytona. Granted, they had to deal with the heat stuff, so the points were a little skewed there. But overall, I mean, I think the broadcast for it is going to be great. I think everyone above, from David Wright up, is safe unless Wright or Withers have absolutely terrible days. And then the bottom ones have great days. Well, but Purnell, Brault, I would say Leiter, and I want to say Emma are probably my 4 that may be out.
Well, I forgot. I also have some more insider information. Y'all forget. I hear
this
everything.
Fucking guy.
Yeah, I hear everything. So Tommy Withers may or may not make it to Bristol race.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So if he doesn't make it, he's only 18 points to the good, if I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, but I think he's 18 points to the good. If you take 10 drop points for a race, regardless of anyone else starting, he's 28 points to the good. Well, we probably will only have 20 to 22 people start the race, so 28 points, that's not a whole lot, even, with like I said, with the 10 drop points added. So if Withers doesn't make the race, that's huge.
That could be huge.
Yeah, for that playoff cut line. Again, I don't know if that's 100% yet. It's all dependent kind of on weather and what he can go and do and what he can see depending on how the weather treats him. But that's a big deal. I mean, only being 18 up, and all the other drivers will be out there trying to get stage points, and a 10th place finish is going to get you, whatever it is, like 20 something points. That's enough to pass him, if you get a few stage points. So that's another one to watch as we go into Sunday. Does he show up? Does he race? Or is he not available and has to take drop points? And then that puts him kind of in no man's land because he can't get any extra points. So I know Austin Purnell's done. I don't know if Jeremy's going to show up. If he does, obviously he's going to be very aggressive to try and win the race because that's almost what he has to do. If Tommy Withers doesn't show up, then that's the third. And then that fourth position is between me, Leiter, Feem, Kruger. I mean, it's all kind of up to whatever happens.
If he's 28, if he goes 28 up based off of the 10 points, I mean, that might be enough to keep him safe. If the drivers behind aren't accruing a massive amount of stage points, because they would have, even getting within 18, 10 points is a 27th place finish. So you would have to finish 18 spots ahead of him at the end of the race, as if he was in 27th. So I mean, you're talking, a big time run for those drivers. So he may be safe, just based off of the car. If we had a 40 car field, he would be out in a heartbeat because there's so much more, and obviously in a 40 car field, we would have different rules for drop points. You're not going to get a 27th in a 40 car field for not showing up. But that where he's at right now, he may be okay as long as those drop points get requested. I don't know if they've been requested yet. So that's the other piece of this, is that if he doesn't request them, that's 10 points he doesn't get.
Very true. They have not been requested yet, but we'll see what happens going into Sunday. But that is another kink in the plan for points. If Tommy Withers does not show up and request drop points, that's going to be close for him as far as making it in. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a great race. I think everybody has a lot to fight for, including myself. I'm going to just try and stay out of issues, but I seem to get involved in issues as soon as they happen. So that includes Kansas. I mean, like I said, we'll go ahead and talk about it now. Coming to the white flag, I'm running 6th. I have a teammate that is on 40 lap old tires. I have another teammate behind him, and the one teammate thought that the other teammate was someone else, so he brake checked him coming to the tri-oval. When he did, that other teammate went around him because he brake checked him, and when he went around him, his car pushed me into Austin Mongold, and then my car was stuck on the outside wall against Austin Mongold. I mean, literally, luckily I got it back going, but at that point it didn't matter. I finished 14th at Kansas. Should have finished 6th. It was like 8 points that I lost on that last lap, and that would have put me from -3 to in the playoff, going into Bristol. So, I didn't say much in the team chat, but I said some stuff after. I was not happy. Obviously, Feem didn't get the worst of it. He was able to keep going because he bounced into me and he kept going. I hit Mongold.
Place, baby.
Yeah, I hit Mongold, and me and Mongold finished, like 14th and 15th or something. And my other two teammates, one who's not even in the playoffs, finished very well. So, we're gonna have a little sit down at Presidential Racing before we go to Bristol and go, look at here. If you fuck up and you forget to take tires and you have 40 lap old tires, you better get your ass fucking out of the way.
I think it was 55.
At least when it comes to your teammates, and you better be damn sure if you're brake checking somebody, it ain't your fucking teammate.
That it ain't your teammate.
Yeah.
That'd be really fucking nice.
Yeah.
But
well, we'll be in regular schemes this week, so everyone should be able to see who is who and where is where. But yeah, that I saw that and I was like, oh, that's 3 presidential cars attached at the hip with each other. That's not good.
Yeah. So here's how this scenario went. We're driving, right?
Obviously.
And Proudfoot and Ryan, they're oh yeah, he's on me, all that kind of stuff. He's like, oh, I'm gonna just drive my line and see if I can stay in front of him. And next thing you know, he goes, oh, here he comes, and just stops. Like it was just like a brake check from hell. And the only thing I said, that is me. He goes, oh, my bad, your guys' car is the same exact color. Come on, guy.
yeah.
Come on.
What really sucked about that race is I was very competitive, honestly.
Yeah, you were.
Like, very competitive. Got 5th place in stage 1, got 5th place in stage 2. I was a top 5 car, easily. And then that restart, I started 6th on the outside, and it sucks. You kind of expect everybody to race aggressive because we're coming to the finish. But when it's your teammates that yeah, and it was a mistake. I'm not doubting that, but still, at the end of the day, it's like, damn it, man. Like, I could have gotten that 6th place finish because I knew I had that speed. I knew my car was fixed from an earlier incident. I knew I had that speed. I've been running up front in the top 5 all night, and then that happens, and it's just like, oh my god, are you fucking kidding me? Like what? Like we're supposed to be on the same team, and here we are going 4 wide, coming to the white flag, and I get the shit into the stick. Where I'm the one that's trying to battle back from, missing Darlington. It was frustrating, but what are you gonna do?
You saying you got team orders? Is that what you're trying to say? You're like, hey,
look,
by here, assholes.
Hey,
we got another Michael Waltrip racing incident coming up.
There wasn't team orders.
There
wasn't team orders at Kansas, but I guarantee you, there's gonna be team orders in Bristol. If you fucking get in my way and you're my teammate, you may not see the track much longer. You may be booted out of here, but. Nah,
I was gonna say, I think at Line Power we're pretty much, we help each other, but then come to white flag, it's all driver to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, yeah, that was a white flag. That was a white flag.
Yep, you gotta go.
Well, we were coming to the white flag, to be fair.
White flag, yeah.
It wasn't the white flag yet. The
flag... Oh, don't worry. I had my finger was on the button because I watched all 4 of you guys head for the wall, and I was like, uh-oh. And then nobody spun out, and I was like, okay, I guess we're going green from here. That sucks.
Yeah. Nobody spun out, but I hit Austin Mongold and got shafted into the wall. So,
I went underneath all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, beyond that incident for presidential racing, how was the racing overall with the entire field? It seemed like the first 5 to 6, 7 laps were very intense, 3 wide, 2 wide, crossovers, and then it kind of stretched itself out as the leaders, moved ahead. What was the consensus as to how the racing went on the track?
Stage 1 was kind of hectic. I like stage 2. Stage 2 was good, in my opinion. Best stage of the race.
But I'm not qualified to answer this, I don't think.
Hey, I mean, you got to watch it. I mean, it wasn't completely. Really? You got to be like, hey, they're getting a little crazy up there, or man, this is fun to watch. Fetter Place, what did you think overall, being in the mix of it all?
I had a couple of beefs. I'm starting to wonder if there was team orders on the 41 to hold me up all race, because he pretty much drove in front of me the entire race. It could have been because I was too slow and I wasn't able to get there, but I thought it was ironic and kind of weird. Hey, Toby, what's up? I thought it was a little weird that he was always in front of me every lap, no matter where I went on that track. He was there. Not to mention, let's talk. Can we just talk about for a second the first 6 cautions? All had at least the same one driver in it.
Uh-oh.
Do you know who that driver was?
Matthew Leiter.
What are we doing?
It was Kerr.
Oh yeah.
James Kerr.
Oh yeah, Kerr wasn't to it.
I don't have brakes, so I'm gonna drive right into each accident. He's the one that pretty much wide opened into me.
Shark it in. Yep.
I
don't even know what happened on that second caution, but I might have gotten taken up by a teammate.
Seems to be going around.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, the race, my game plan didn't work out. My game plan was to kind of save tire and kind of relax. And it just didn't work out. I mean, I evidently saved too much tire, because by the time I started making a run through the field, I was out of gas and we had to pit. So clearly I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So other than that, I mean, I made my mistake hitting the wall. I hit the wall, I got spun out, bouncing off the wall. I forget who hooked me. I think it was a Proudfoot. Hooked me in the right. And that was 100% my fault. I got tight out of 4. So that is what it is. But I felt bad for those guys. And, tried to come back. I think I finished 6th, which, hey, I'm all right with that. Top 10, another top 10 to pad the stat board a little bit.
Yeah.
And we'll try to make something happen at Bristol.
There you go. I mean, it was fun to watch from race control's perspective, because I was like, oh, here comes the wreck. Nope, they got it. Oh, whoa, here we go again. Nope, they got it. And that was like 12 laps in a row where I'm just like, something's going to happen. And then the one big one did happen, got the penalty for Leiter for the Racecom incident. But that collected most of the field in turns 3 and 4. But other than that, it was clean but intense throughout, especially coming off restarts, and so it was fun to watch from the eye in the sky perspective.
I know I was going to end up talking about the Reynolds incident with our teammate Marshall, but I kind of want to wait till Reynolds gets here. I don't want to say a whole lot without him here, but
he's got about 10 minutes, and then he should join.
The precursor to that is, I believe it was a racing incident, and I think the intensity of the driver is what is flaring it up. Because I watched it and I was like, even in real time, I was like, I can see him getting loose. I can see the move Reynolds is making, and then they just met. Could Reynolds have avoided? Yes. Would it have killed his momentum? Yes. What's the alternative? So, but they ended up together and in a wreck, and we'll see what he comes in with. His chat statement was like, "What do you want me to do? Lift?" I'm like, well, I mean,
his first statement was, I dumped Edward Marshall. Let's get that straight.
Well, he did.
I agree and disagree. And I'll talk to Tommy Reynolds. I mean, I've talked to him. Me and him are good friends. He's a young kid. I think Tommy Reynolds never should have left Bandit Racing. I think he belongs at Bandit Racing. I believe he drives like he's at Bandit Racing. And I'll tell him that right to his face.
Hey, Toby.
Yeah. I mean, again, Tommy Reynolds, I love the kid. But if somebody did that to me, I would have backed off. I would have set up my next corner. I would have passed him cleanly. I would have done what I had to do to get around him without dumping him. That's just me as a driver. Everybody knows that I'm, for the most part, a pretty clean driver. I don't try and stir up any shit. But I think some drivers don't give a shit. And I feel like that's exactly what happened in that incident. Yes, it was a racing incident, but at the same time, you know, I've shown my displeasure with, you know, back even going to a year ago with Tyler Patterson in the 27 car, with Daniel Michelle in the 20. Yeah, exactly. The 25 of Daniel Michelle this year. Am I going to race them like I race everybody in this chat? Absolutely not. Because they race me like an asshole, it's coming right back to you, baby. You know what I mean? But if everybody in this chat, you know, other than Feemster wrecking me with one to go, you know, that was some bullshit. But
Suspended.
other than no, I know that was a racing deal. I'm not worried about that. You know, I mean, it was just another teammate didn't realize he was doing what he was doing, but you know.
And that's the thing. So I don't want to get it twisted. I understand. You know, it looked like we were arguing in the chat. I was just having a conversation. You know, I wanted to ask him, you know, what he was thinking, because I get it. It's a racing incident. There's actually someone that I sent that broadcast to, and I was like, look at this and make sure that I'm not looking at this the wrong way. And they said the same thing. It looked like a racing incident. Reynolds could have lifted, but it was a racing deal, you know, stuff like that. So I said, okay, I respect their opinion. Hey, that's great. But what irritated me, well, it didn't really irritate me. It got me to actually consider everything about the situation. And that was the moment that you brag about, and that's what it come off as. I don't know if that's what it was meant to be, but whenever you come off as giving a brag about something that you did, that then takes away your innocence from that situation. So yeah, it was a racing deal. Okay. Well, then you go and you brag about dumping someone. It's no longer a racing incident. That was premeditated. You know, that's not premeditated, but that was something that you did.
Yeah, it is premeditated. So I feel like
it's kind of like, it's kind of like you knew whenever he got loose, you were gonna smash.
Yeah, it was
once he got loose, you were going down and you were gonna move him out of the way. And I'm not mad. I'm more like, what were you thinking? Like, oh wait, hold on.
So let me tell y'all. All right, I'll tell y'all a little bit. We got Seth in here now, so we'll get his opinion too. But let me tell y'all a little bit about Tommy Reynolds. And again, I wish he was here, but he's not right now. He's got 6 minutes till he said he was going to join. Tommy Reynolds has come a long way, okay, from a year ago, and that is the cold hard truth. Tommy Reynolds has come a long way, and Tommy Reynolds does do a lot of great things for ARCs, okay? I also do a lot of great things for ARCs, but do I do some dumb shit sometimes? You damn right I do. I do some stupid ass shit. Tommy Reynolds is the same way. The kid has not fully gotten there yet. He's not fully mature. He's still a kid. He has come a long way since last year. Y'all remember last year when we run Monday Night Lightning? Well, actually, it was A squared last year. That kid would touch the wall, and he'd leave. He'd quit the fucking session. He would pull a Joshua Gaiman's good at this too. Joshua Gaiman's good at this too. Joshua Gaiman will wreck and leave the session. But Tommy Reynolds used to do that shit. Now he doesn't. And does he say some stupid shit? Absolutely. Does he do some stupid shit? Absolutely. And we all do. Every single one of us. We do some stupid shit sometimes, and everybody goes, you know, why would you do that? I mean, I left the Discord one time. Y'all remember that? You know, and and Aiden.
Let me think about it. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Now I'm getting that used against me, you know, in the court of law. But regardless, everybody does stupid shit, and I'm not by no means am I defending Tommy Reynolds. Trust me, I am not. I think, like I said, just 10 seconds ago, I think it was bullshit what he did. Because if I was in that same position, I back off. I set myself up for that pass the next corner, and I make that pass cleanly. But that's not how Tommy Reynolds thinks. So, but we all have different outlooks on this dumb shit that we do. 3, 4, 5, sometimes 7 times a week, and
Yep.
you live with it, and you try and make the best decision. But yeah, I think he should have stayed on Bandit Racing, because then he wouldn't be racing anymore, and we'd all be happy. But
hey, I do miss racing with you guys. I really do.
yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't have started a shit ass team.
Well, hang on. It started out as the bluegrass bandits.
Yeah,
Yeah, and y'all
if it was just me,
hey, and y'all sucked then too.
I bet he tries to recruit you next season.
Oh, whatever.
The 27.
I bet $100 he tries to recruit you next season.
Yeah. So looking towards next season, with the early access to the rule book that all the drivers have been looking through, and it's still got a few more pieces that have to be massaged. But looking forward, the Reynolds incident with Marshall, do you think that incident doesn't happen, knowing what the consequences are in the next rule book?
Nope.
Say you put Reynolds on where he's like 4 of 5 of incidents in the year, and if he gets this 5th one, now you're looking at points penalties that could affect his playoff chances, or even if it's in the regular season championship questions, because that could be the difference. Do you think those they'd be like, okay, I don't need to spin this guy out. I'm running 5th. What's the point of spinning this person out?
Nope. Because you're not going to change people like Tommy Reynolds. You're not going to change people like Aiden Norman. You're not going to change people like Noah Belleville. You're not going to change people like Edward Marshall. I think it doesn't. I think it doesn't.
David Wright. I'll throw that name out there.
Yeah,
dude. When I raced, he was a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, David Wright. I mean, we could name a couple more. It doesn't matter what rules you put into effect. Those certain drivers, it's not going to fucking matter. And now, do we have a repercussion for what they do on that racetrack now? Absolutely we do. But will that change how they drive? Nope.
Will they complain? Probably.
Probably. But that's not up to us. That's, the rule book is what it says it is. And, you can't really fight. You can appeal it, and we'll take it to our appeal, panel, and we'll look at it. But does that change how Tommy Reynolds drives? Does that change? I mean, I got wrecked and me and David Wright were in the hauler talking about it. I don't even remember what race it was. Was it TNT? No, he didn't race in TNT. It was an SNS. SNS. And he wrecked me. And look, I'm telling y'all, if any of y'all ever got loose in front of me before, and the same goes to everybody in here. The question is for everybody. If someone gets loose in front of you, what do you do? Do you drive through them?
I lift.
Exactly. Thank you. Okay. And that was not what David Wright did. I was running my line. Did I overshoot the corner? Yeah, just a little bit. But I knew that I had to, because I had better tires. I had a faster truck. I'm sorry, it was SNS. So I drove in. I got loose a little bit. All right. I get loose the first time, I save it. All right, no contact yet. Then I come out of the corner, I get loose again. He hits me. Well, what happens when somebody hits you? You're going to fucking almost spin out. So you can't stay in the fucking throttle. You got to lift. Well, when that happened, he hit me a second time. And then a third time. And then ended my night. I spun into the inside wall. He kept on going. And at the end, he said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." And he may be very, very, very truthful in that he didn't mean to.
He might be sincere, not truthful.
Well, and again, yes. Sincere or not, the next time that motherfucker is around me, okay, I will remember.
Yeah, that. But he carries a reputation throughout all series, though, too. You gotta, you know what I mean?
Yeah, understand. I mean, and I've never had any issues with them. That was the first time I really had an issue with them. And again, you know, if you are faster than me, drive around me. Don't drive through me. You know, that's bullshit. And you know, we settled our differences in the hauler. I told him, you know what, okay, fine, whatever, cool. Yep, you're right. I shouldn't have got loose in front of you. Sorry for getting loose. You did the right thing by driving through me. I'm so sorry. But let me tell you right now, if David Wright's ever in front of me again, and that motherfucker gets loose, ain't gonna be no checking up.
He's getting loose.
Going around.
Ain't gonna be no checking up from the 12 camp. No sir.
And I'll brag on you, Ryan, dude. Like, we all know tracks that you're really competitive at, but like in TNT at Kentucky, like you put like a whole race together. We all know how TNT is, dude. One of the hardest tracks, the hardest cars. At the end of the beginning of the race, everybody's pitting and cycling through, and everybody's on their own strategy. And then you're there at the tail end of the race, and you're like, oh shit, Ryan's there. And then I'm behind you, and I'm like, well, shit. Not only am I trying to save fuel, but I'm trying to save tires and get to you. But I mean, you had like an entire clean race from what I've seen. I went back and watched it, but you and Lurkin was on the same strategy, I think, or pretty close. But I mean, anytime I was around you, I was racing you with the respect, and then whenever people got to you, you were like, you can't virtually do it, but you had your hand out the window net saying, inside, dude, I've got a whole strategy here, buddy.
Yeah.
Come on, dude, don't fuck my shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever you put an entire race together, I mean you're there. It just sucks, in all these different series. These series we've got a broad of drivers, but even though we're not at Talladega or Daytona or the new Atlanta, I mean, you are fast as long as somebody don't wreck you, because it seems like you get the shit under the stick a lot.
Yeah.
Especially
that mid-packer at the end.
Yeah, but man, he's got that strategy, and he's not racing anybody hard. He's like, fuck it, dude, I'm going to be there at the end. Y'all just roll on, buddy.
Yeah, it really.
When you were in the top 5 at Kansas, I mean, no one touched you up there. You were ready to go,
Yeah, I was battling. I really was battling at Kansas. I Kentucky from the green flag, I knew that was going to be strategy because it's TNT.
Dude, you surprised the fuck out of me at Kentucky. Yeah. Damn it, Ryan.
I knew that was going to be strategy. I knew it from the before we even gridded up. I knew that I could make it. Everybody else could make it 30 laps if they were pushing it. I knew I could make it 32 if I saved. So that's what I did. I saved. And the only one that was able to just outpace me on pure speed was Aiden. I mean, the kid was just so fast that it didn't matter. He could have pitted 2 more times. I still would have lost to him. But I wasn't worried about that. I wasn't worried about Aiden. I knew I couldn't beat Aiden. I was worried about everyone else in the field. And that's exactly what I did. I saved enough to where that last stint, I was able to push when I needed to push. And I was worried about Toby catching me. I was, because I saw his relative and I saw him getting closer. And then all of a sudden, I see him getting further away. And I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's saving fuel too. So am I. So here we go.
I don't know how Kent wasn't saving fuel.
I was. I had to save. I had to make sure I had 1 lap to the good.
Every time, it was like I was in the middle of you and Ryan. I'd catch Ryan, and I'm like, damn it, now I got to save. I'd save a little bit, and then by God, here comes Matthew Kent. I'm like, well, fuck, now I've got to push. Like I'm literally here to get fucked. So I'm like, hey, podium, I've got to finish 3rd out of this whole ordeal.
Yeah, and that's exactly.
But hey, Kentucky is Kentucky's fun, dude, but it's hard.
It's fun, yeah, it is. But yeah, I was watching. I mean, yeah, I was watching Toby's relative because it was sitting at like 8/10 for like 10 laps, and I knew he had fresher tires than me, obviously, because he pitted after I did. So I knew, like, I'm like, he's gonna catch me. This motherfucker's gonna catch me, and that's okay. I'll finish third, and I'll get my podium interview, and we'll be okay. Everything's fine. But then I saw that 8/10 go to 1 second, and I'm like, oh shit, should I be? So then I started backing up more, and it would be like 8/10, and then it'd be like back to a second, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, did he take
it was to the point I was clutching in 3 and 4. Like I was.
Yeah, I was clutching.
I mean, I knew
pretty hard, but
maybe that's what I should have been doing.
Yeah, when I saw that your time wasn't closing on me, I was like, oh hell yeah, I got this shit now. I got, I was 45 fucking years behind Aiden Norman, but by God, I was gonna finish second in that race. I tell you,
dude, I was coming in. I would be coming into 1 and 2, and I'm like, I'll be damned if this Wish version of Eric Church is gonna finish in front of me at Kentucky and not do a damn concert. That there ain't no way. And then I burnt my right foot off in 3 and 4 every time.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I really do. I do enjoy, just the straight up speed races. But man, when you put strategy involved, you got to put me up there. Other than maybe Tom Sears and Thomas Andrews, and Tom Sears was there with me. Probably would have won that race if he did not get caught speeding. No, no questions asked. Tom Sears probably would have won that TNT race, but he pushed it a little too hard on pit road. I'm more conservative on pit road. I lose time on pit road, but by God, I'd rather lose a second versus having a 40-second hold on pit road. So that's kind of how I do my thing. And Tom Sears just pushed it a little too hard. But yeah, I think me, Tom Sears, probably Thomas Andrews when he does race. Even going back to Heat 5 days. I mean, the three of us have always just been so good when it comes to strategy races. And I may not be fast, but by God, my brain fucking still works for now. I'm about to turn 32 this year, so we'll see how long it lasts. But
goddamn you, old ass!
It showed at Kentucky. Like whenever I was in third, and I was kind of pushing. I'm like, all right, Ryan's got to pit soon, right? And then we kept getting closer and closer. I'm like, this motherfucker's not pitting. He's got it figured out. I'm like, I'm screwed.
Well, hey, since not to curb this one, but if since Seth has come in, what about Kansas? How did you feel?
Yeah, winner chicken dinner.
How did I feel about it?
Yeah, how'd you feel about it?
It was awesome to win at the home track for sure. Been really fast there in a numerous amount of leagues. Just like a lot of guys in real life and a lot of guys in here, it seems like a lot of us at our home tracks, we run really good because we know it so well, and then you get in the situations to win, and you can't seem to quite put it all together. And I'll be honest, I had a shitty race up until stage 3.
I was gonna say you hung out mid pack, didn't you, for a while?
Like
yeah,
14th to 16th.
I got caught up in that lap 1 wreck when Donald got loose, hit the wall, and I just had nowhere to go but into him. Went to check if I had damage because it gave me a 6X and didn't have any. So then I was stuck back in traffic, and I don't know if you guys had the same issue, but that thing was, if you got past like 6th or 7th place where there wasn't a lot of room to move around, throughout the run. Obviously, on restarts and everything, everybody's in traffic, but the air was awful. Like it was hard to pass. Um, the bottom was kind of non-existent back there for some reason. I'm not sure why.
I feel like it was
And
just
then
because it was so everybody was pushing. Everybody up there
yeah,
was pushing so damn hard.
see, the thing was, I was loose on throttle. No matter what I did on throttle, feathering it, no matter what throttle technique I tried, I was really loose on throttle. Um,
I wish I was.
and so
Shit.
I got caught up in another wreck, where someone got loose, came up across the track, then big pile up, got some damage, didn't get it all fixed. Ended stage one in the back because my right front fender was a parachute. Um, and then stage two came around, and I got all the damage fixed that I could off the optional, and I think it was just one of them deals to where, um, you know, iRacing just, you know, fixed what it thought it should fix, but the car was still damaged. I think we've all had that happen before because it wasn't driving right. Um, and that's when I got, honestly, when I fixed all of it, that was the only time I was tight. Was when I fixed all the optional, and I got in the wall a few times. Stage three, I was just like, I only had like 20 seconds of optional when I pitted, so I went ahead and used my fast repair. And from then on, just kind of slowly climbed my way back up through the field, and then got into the top 5 or 6. And I thought that's about where I should be. It's where I was during practice. Definitely faster. Wasn't than Daniel and Tommy and Bryn and some of those guys. But with those crazy sequence of events, I drove up to second or third, I think, and then that David Wright caution came out, and we pitted, and then we had a couple more restarts, and then the Rupert Michelle caution happened, and the floodgates opened. But then Reynolds and a couple other guys, everybody behind me had about 5 to 8 fresher lap tires than me, and I thought that was going to be all the difference in the world, and honestly had one of the better restarts I've ever had on iRacing. Timed it just perfect to where it wasn't a penalty. I went right when right when the splitter. I'm pretty sure they looked at it in the hauler, and me and Reynolds looked at it like I went right when the splitter was touching the restart box, and got a good restart, and had saved, and being back in dirty air during that stage one for most of it. I kind of just worked on what lines saved tires, what lines didn't, worked on how the car would manipulate in the air and how it would turn and cut and what you needed to do. And honestly, entering high and just staying off the throttle for just a second, and if you go back with like 10 or 11 to go, I was doing that and kind of catching Daniel. I don't think I would have gotten to him, but cutting to the middle of the corner on exit off, kind of diamonding it off, was working for me really well. So then that happened and got a good restart and nailed it, and got the home track win. So it was honestly, it was a shitty race. I had never ran that bad at Kansas, and just kind of Mickey Mouse my way to being into a leader on the last restart, and kind of took it from there. But I'm grateful that Tommy Reynolds did Edwards in the 3 and 4. I was kind of worried about that, but he gave me everything he got. I thought when he got underneath me with 2 to go there, he kind of had a right front there, and I was worried if he maintained speed through the corner and got to my left rear, I thought it was going to be all over. But he couldn't stay in the gas with how deep he got into the corner. So yeah, man, I thought overall though the racing was really good, especially from about 6 on back, like really, really good. And really all of our cautions it was just racing deals. They were pileups, but it was people racing hard, and just a product of the race, and people getting loose off the corner. the type of incidents, like, you don't want any, but it's the type of incidents you want. You know, if you're gonna have them, then you'd rather it be people pushing and, you know, racing hard, doing everything they can. Um,
I think you're high.
so no.
I think you're
Uh,
stoned. You're stoned out of your mind.
I mean, I wasn't a part of all of them, but
You're on some
Man.
sort of mind-altering drug. There is something wrong with
There
you.
was that little song. Where's that song at? That soundboard that you had on there. That one that. That's what.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was like 3 or 4 of them that you could have put this to, and that one.
I don't know that. Like, just from where I was watching the incidents, other than the Reynolds one and Leiter's late one where he came in late, those those are the only 2 that I was like, man, those could have been those contacts could have been one. Everything else was like, oh, that's getting tight. Oh, they ran out of room, and that it wasn't, overshooting the entry of a corner. It was all aggressive on exit, got to the gas too quick, ran out of room. Stuff we see in the real world.
With that setup, you had to be aggressive to set up for your exit.
Mm-hmm.
I think you didn't see the entry stuff or anybody getting too deep into the entry of the corner, just because if you were in the wall, or just it killed your momentum off.
Yeah.
Because in the middle of the corner, again, I didn't have that issue for some reason. Even the guys in my chat were like, "How are you not tight?" And I was just bitching about it being loose. But
I think that track has the seams. If you dip that left front below one of those seams, it does play loose because of the elevation change. Because I used to do that with the Gen 6, and that's how you got that thing to really rotate, was you put it right there at left front on that seam, and then it just rode it the whole way around the corner, and you could stay in the throttle.
For me, some of the passes I made, shout out to old Donald Ray. I won't say what he figured out during practice on the bottom and how to run the bottom, but it helped a ton. He's a really savvy guy and really figures a lot out and knows how to manipulate this car really, really well. And I think he'll be, if he runs full time and makes everything next year the whole way through.
He used to be on my team, but he's not anymore.
Oh man, now we brought out.
There we go. There we go. And Seth, everyone,
that fiddle.
Everyone's given their kind of predictions for Cut Race Bristol. Now that you're locked in, you ain't got to worry about anything. You could literally, start and park. What's your prediction for the 4 drivers getting knocked out after this week?
Who's gonna get knocked out?
Yep, who's out?
Well, there's 2 that's easy. It's Purnell and Jeremy. Because if Jeremy shows up, he's got a shot to win. But I don't know his status. The other 2 is really a toss-up. I don't think Emma gives herself enough credit to where if she runs a good, clean race and gets consistent, it doesn't matter if it's an oval or not. I know road courses are her strong suit, but she's really impressed me. Oh, she's in here. I mean,
yep. Hi.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Look at you giving compliments out.
He is high.
I appreciate that.
My God.
God damn, doesn't know who's in here.
No, I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting much on the ovals, but like New Hampshire, I think it was. You were running a fantastic race on a short track. I don't know how that ended up for you.
Oh, it was a lap time by the end.
Yeah, but I mean, you were very consistently in the top 5 the first 2 stages, or top 10. Ryan's always really good on the short tracks. And then who are the 2 on the bottom?
So you've got Feemster +7, Oberstadt +6, Leiter is the cut line, and then you've got Ryan at -3 and Kruger at -7.
I know Feem's gonna be in that top 10 for most of the night. He always finds a way to just to me it's kind of as long as his luck Trust me, buddy. I won worst luck award in ARCs last year. So
Fuck, man. My luck's
as
been
long
shit this year.
as long as your luck doesn't as long as your luck doesn't run dry, man, you usually you're kind of like what Greg Biffle used to do. You might not win a race, but man, you're up there in the top 10, just points, 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 the whole night through. I know Ryan, you've been getting faster and faster everywhere we go, and you've always been fast at the short tracks, especially Bristol. You're pretty good at Bristol. I still
So
want
you
to know
choosing
what
those two to lose?
Yep.
I still want to know. I still want to know what your cousin does at Bristol that makes him so good everywhere. Maybe he told you that's why you
I
run pretty
hope
good
so.
there. But uh,
So other than Brielle and Purnell, who's your other two out? You got
I'm gonna
5
have to
drivers
say,
to pick from.
I'm gonna have to say Lighters out. Um,
One more.
and man, it's tough. You really don't know what it's gonna be till you get into the thick of things about stage one, stage two.
Stop
Even if
it.
people
Trust
have,
me.
Look at this guy. He doesn't want to throw his friend out
Right.
of the playoff. He
Right.
wants to say Ryan Pennell so bad.
no, I really think I really think Ryan's gonna have a good run. Like Ryan, did you make the round of 8 last year? Or round of
That's
12?
I made the round of 8, and then I
See, like Ryan, everybody counted Ryan out last year, and he just fought and clawed his way to the round of 8. So I'm gonna have to say Ryan gets in. I think Feem gets in, and sorry, I think Kruger and Leiter are out.
Uh,
The Kruger thing could change depending on how Oberstadt runs.
Sure.
I think
Because
historically I've been good on short tracks though.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and I think it's gonna be really. I think I wouldn't be shocked if it's a 1 or 2 point uh swing between Kruger and Oberstadt all the way through stage 3. Um, because
Yeah.
again, I think even on the broadcast, some people were like, "Well, short tracks and ovals aren't Emma's strong suit," and I have to disagree with the fact that I think she's proven plenty that she can run up in the top 5 or 10 on oval. So I definitely think Ryan's in, Leiter's out. But it's a coin flip between Kruger and Oberstadt, really, because Steven hasn't been running terrible either. These last couple races, he's been up there in the top 10, and I think with the addition of Patrick to that team, and Patrick's really smooth and consistent, in my opinion. Even though he's been involved in some wrecks to me that aren't his doing, he's not gonna put himself in a bad spot. He lets people go. He knows when to race, and when not to race people. So, but not having to be in, I think I would have been okay on points anyway going into Bristol. Really, to where if I have a good
Yeah.
one, I don't think I would have had to worry about it. But it's nice to have the stress level off, and I would say short tracks are really my strong suit anyway. So I still got the mindset of go in there and win.
Yeah.
So
This round really hasn't seen what the real world is seeing, where the top guys are in a struggle position. I mean, Seth, you won, but you would have been plus 34, and Roberts won, and he's plus 16. So those are both fairly safe, point differentials for the round of 16. I think when you get to round of 12, some of those may become a lot more
the round of
unsteady
12,
positions.
I was looking Sunday night. The round of 12 is hell, man. You got Texas, which I'm pretty confident in racing at the new Texas in this car. Ran pretty good there in the All Star race, and would have had the pole there, and drove from 24th to second. And some guy named Tommy Reynolds was already gone by then, but you know, but and then you got Dega, which no one knows what's going to happen at Dega, and then you got the Roval. So really, Texas should be a damn good race for us. Everybody hates on Texas, but
It'll be a good race.
It'll be a good race.
The pressure to put yourself in a good position at Texas is really really high. because you don't want to go into Dega in the sketchy spot, and you don't want to go and definitely don't want to go into the Roval with the amount of road course talent that we have in this league. Now with Emma and Reynolds and Daniel and Gaiman and some other and Fetter places really good on the road courses as well. So
Tell you what, if I don't get my head out of my ass, I ain't gonna be good anywhere. Believe
you
that.
know, going off that, I kind of want to hear Final Four predictions now that we're almost through the first round, and I know we put some in earlier. I was wondering if earlier in July, as we neared the playoffs.
I think we're still. Man, we're almost too far out. I think.
What's
Let me see.
everybody's? Well, I know a few people had Jeremy in there, and he's looking like he's
gone.
out.
Mhm.
And
Gone.
so I know a couple of people had Purnell, and I know unfortunately he's
Purnell's
out.
gone. Yep.
So I'd kind of like to hear some Final Four predictions and see go down the list starting with Kent and see what we got.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at what the round of 8 is. It's Vega. It's mile and a half short track. So, judging by what could be in the round of 8, I think if Ryan can make it to round of 8, he has a chance, but he's going to have a big points gap to make up. I think you're looking at Reynolds, Gaiman, Michelle, and Seth. I think the mile and a half crew comes in. Now a sneaky one would be a Tom Sears at Martinsville, or a David Wright at Martinsville, both in the short track realm. But I think Reynolds, Gaiman, Michelle, Seth, and that's based off of strong mile and a half performances at Vegas and Homestead.
All right, Fiend, what about you? I know you're fine. I'm pretty sure you had Jeremy and Purnell.
No, I think I just had Purnell. I think I had Fetter Place, Purnell, Sears, and Seth. But right now, for where it's at, oh shit, Reynolds is in.
Just based off his playoff points.
Just based off, I mean, just consistency alone. And if I'm gonna go off of consistency, it's hard because you can be consistent all season long, and then you get into the playoffs and your season goes complete shit. But I got to put Reynolds in. I got to put Fetter Place in. Gaiman is just on a bad luck string right now. I mean, after last week, it just seems like, I don't know. It kind of feels like last year, when you get to the playoffs kind of thing, and he just ran into a bunch of strings of bad luck. But Final Four: Reynolds, Fetter Place, Wansing, Sears. That's where I'm going with it.
Fetter Place.
I think whenever we made our first predictions, I don't think I picked myself, and you guys thought I was crazy. I mean, I kind of feel like Theme does. I mean, you can, looking at the stat page right now, I have the most top 5 percentage and the highest top 10 percentage. Other than, I'm sorry, Tom Sears has more top 10 percentage than I do. But top 10s and top 5s don't win any championships. You got to win. And I don't know. If I had to pick right now off the top of my head, looking at a playoff grid, it would probably be Michelle. Let's do fuck Reynolds. Always in here. Fuck you, Reynolds. Let's see. So Michelle, let's go. Bryn Roberts.
Oh,
as a shocker.
Quick lately.
I think Reynolds does make it in, even though I'm going to cuss him whenever he does. And then let's do another surprise. Let's say Sears. So Roberts, Michelle, Sears, Reynolds.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pulling the old Pat McAfee type interview here. Meaning I don't give a shit what y'all think, honestly. Don't give a shit what ESPN thinks about my predictions. I would say top 4. I would say Reynolds, Daniel Michelle. I would probably put Joshua Gaiman in there, and I'd put me in number 4, baby. Let's go. We're gonna make the top 4, baby.
God.
Let's go.
There he is.
He's got something up his sleeve, and it's a cheat code, and Aiden's gonna go crazy.
Hey, I'm just out here doing what I got to do to make the top 4. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
Motherfucker to say he's gonna make the top 4. He's gonna break on lap 1.
Emma, what you got?
Probably.
What you got, Emma?
I say Reynolds, for sure. Fatter place, I think. Probably Michelle will get in, and then I think Josh Gaiman is gonna have something stupidly just bad luck happen to him at Martinsville, and Tom Sears is gonna sneak his way in.
The Gaiman bad luck train.
It's just, dude, it is like last year, bad luck at the end of the season, and then on Sunday, it was like Gaiman's around. It's like, oh my god, it's like a repeat of last year's playoffs.
All right, Tommy with his first
words.
Well, he's on mute, so I guess that's
no.
Oh,
Let's.
there
you guys
he
may
is.
not like this, but it is the most real prediction here by a mile.
No, jeez.
Jeremy Brio comes back, wins 4 straight. David Wright comes back with a vengeance, wins 2 after Jeremy. Matthew Leiter makes a surprise return in form, absolutely destroys the competition.
Somebody mute this guy.
Toby Estes reforms his team, comes back, and wins the final race in the playoffs.
You know, I thought Seth was high.
Out
of his mind.
Yeah, Seth's sober now.
Well, Reynolds, thanks for joining the podcast. We'll see you next week.
All right,
Ryan was right. Ryan was right. Right, you should be back on Bandit. God damn.
I'm gonna go with Brennan Fetter place Gaiman and Michelle.
Hey, knocking himself out.
You didn't put yourself in?
Nope.
He's gonna have a 25-point advantage
Reverse
over
psychology.
Oh Lord. Well, I mean, big thing is Seth and Bren both got themselves 5 extra points, so they're gonna be at least +5 to the good on next round. So
I think I already asked this question, but so for me and Fetter Place and everybody with a win, do these points carry through to the next round, just the playoff points?
Whatever. So Reynolds, you started with 25, you will start with 25 in the round of 12.
Okay.
The only ones that are changing as of right now are Seth and Bryn because they have the extra win, so they'll get an extra 5 points.
Ryan told me no, so I was a little confused. I didn't know.
Yeah, the question was confusing and the explanation was just as confusing.
Gotcha.
And so you whatever you started with in the round of 16 is what you'll start with in the round of 12 unless you won a race, in which case you get the extra 5 as well to pad.
No. That's not how we do it this year. No. That's not how we do it this year. No.
They're not getting the extra 5s?
Nope. The only people that will get extra points is Seth and Bryn for winning in this round. Next year, it will be different. It will follow NASCAR rules. The playoff
points you accumulate in the playoffs is what carries over.
Correct. In that round.
So everyone's at 0. Everyone's at 0 then.
Correct. Except me and Bryn.
Except for you and Bryn. So it will restart 3,000, and that's how we've done it for the past 4 years. I say 4 years. I think it's been 3 years. But
yeah.
that's
It's
how we
and
have
That's
done
more
it.
interesting then.
so me and Brent will be +5, and everybody else will be
yes,
Yeah,
in that
3,000.
case, Texas is going to be absolute
It's gonna
chaos
be
because
chaos.
everyone's
Yeah.
trying to get off to a good start.
My
Yikes.
my final four would probably be, I think Reynolds gets in, because I mean, even if his consistency isn't there, he finds a way to, like at Kansas, it went away there mid race, gotten a few wrecks. He found a way to drive himself back up to second. Um, I think that Michelle's in. I think quietly he's been extremely more consistent than he was. There's not a lot more of. They're still there sometimes, and I'm still working on them with it. But there's not many more dumb moves that put him and another person way back in the pack. Um, Sometimes it would be 2 or 3 times a race. Um, but so I think Michelle gets in because he's been fast everywhere we go. Um, I think he wins the Roval. Um, I think that Fetter Place gets in just because top 5 and 10 machine, and I think
I'd like
as
to be a winning machine, is what I'd like to be.
so would I, man. So would I. But
Motherfucker just won.
Right, like
I've won 2 races and 3 in whole and A squared in the 2 years I've been running this. So
a lot more
I
than
still
some
haven't
other
won
people.
yet. I should have. Fucking Tommy.
and as I'm sure a couple will tell you, I should have about 8, but I find ways to choke. I'm pretty sure I won biggest choke artist last year too.
so who's your
Uh,
fourth?
my
Hey, at least
fourth,
you won something.
my fourth would be Tom Sears. Not exact. I mean, he's always consistent, and I do think he's gonna steal another win before the year's up. But just because the amount of stage points that man gets throughout a race, no matter if it's a strategy stage or it's just a pure speed stage, he always finds himself in the upper half of the top 5 or 6 to get those big points that you need. I think anything past really 6th place on points kind of negates itself throughout a race. In the stages, I think 6 on up is where you want to be, which is 5 points on up per stage. So I think Sears gets in. I think me and Brent will probably be. I'm worried about making it through the round of 12, to be honest with you. Especially
I
with the
don't
road course. And my luck on super speedways is ass. It seems like I'm always in position, and I kind of end up like Ryan. It feels like me and Ryan both always end up front in these super speedway races, and we either finish second or we get turned from the lead, or while we're up front involved in a wreck with like 5:10 to go. It just it happened to me in HCL again. I literally called it 2 laps before it happened. It doesn't seem to matter what series I run. I think the same goes for Ryan. That it just um, it never seems to go my way. But I do. Texas is a big race for me, so I got to put myself out. But I really think Bryn Roberts is going to be one that he's been uber, like he's been on a top 3 roll right now very quietly. I'm really proud of my race team. Donald's got the shit end of the stick on luck early in races, even though he qualifies really well. And my team's put together a couple 1-2-3s this year, and just did one 2 weeks ago. So,
Well, I kind of wanted to say something too about Roberts. Of course I wasn't here last season or any other season. This is my first full season, right? So I don't know much about Roberts, but that dude is fast.
yeah, he is.
I mean, Jesus, he was. I couldn't believe. I'm sitting here, I'm driving around, and I wasn't fast at Kansas. But every time I look up, there he is, and I'm like, the hell is happening right now? Like, he's got a cheat code. He's got the Aiden Norman cheat code. Like, what the hell's going on? But
I mean,
I don't know much about him, so maybe he is always fast. I just haven't seen it.
Last year I'd say, and sorry, Tommy, I'd say he and Tommy were the same as to where they were super fast, but they kind of had the early years, the Kyle Larson effect on them, to where they'd burn their shit up or they'd wreck going really hard. And towards the end of the year, I think in the playoffs last year, Bryn wasn't in them, but he racked off like 3 wins. He won the Roval, won Texas, and I forgot the third one he won, but he won 3 out of the last 10 races last year.
Yeah, him and Blankenship swapped like races back and forth there in the playoffs.
And it kind of set off a spark with him to get going. And I can't believe he fell to me with the last pick of the first round there. And I kind of knew I had to snag him up, and then I took the unknown with Michelle, which has paid big dividends.
Fuck you, bitch.
It's paid, all right. That's for sure. 25 and the 12.
So, and I'll say the big outlier in that round of 8 is gonna be Martinsville. Ryan knows this, even going back to the Heat 5 days. Martinsville was a really good track for me. I think I had an ARCs there for a little bit. I had swept Martinsville no matter what series we ran there. For
so
like
you're 100% going to get wrecked.
No, that's
Are you guys forgetting who finished second at Martinsville in the spring?
That's exactly what's gonna happen. Like,
do you forget what happened in Martinsville in the spring, Reynolds?
Yeah, I finished 6th, so I don't know what you guys talking about.
Because I sure as hell don't forget what happened in the spring race at Martinsville.
What Federplace said is right for me. Like, last year in the fall race, me and Jeremy were 1-2 trading the lead for a long time, and then we got into that kind of restart frenzy there towards the end. And I know I got turned from the lead or the front row 3 times, and Jeremy got turned from the lead twice. So the two
finished 6th that race. Okay, I'm looking at the results right now. Sorry to interrupt you.
And
it's either that or Dover. Don't quote me.
So
I can't remember.
It's just, it's
I'm
with
sure,
this.
I'm
with
sure
art,
Reynolds remembers the
remembers.
Look, I've been drinking, okay? Withers isn't here, so Withers isn't high, so I'm the drunk one. But I'm sure Reynolds remembers the hauler incident after Martinsville with myself, myself, and I. After he wrecked my shit.
And you know what? I would do it 5 times again, Ryan. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the Reynolds Court section of Unfiltered Dirty Air. Feemster, take it away.
The what?
I'll take it away right now. I don't give a shit.
Answer for your crimes, sir.
No, he wrecked me at Martinsville, and just because
No. He's on trial again.
Yeah, he's on trial for Kansas. We gotta get this out.
Oh yeah, because he wrecked Marshall on purpose. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Marshall did nothing wrong.
My bad.
He did a what did he call it? Racing incident on purpose. Which I don't know how you pull it off, but I am all ears. I want to figure out how you can pull that off.
As he confers with his lawyers, he's very quiet.
I'm gonna flip my mic up.
What are your lawyers saying, Reynolds?
Right.
I really wish there was a video option, so I didn't have to use Brandon's out of context screenshot.
But I sent you the breakdown.
No, I know you did send me
the Picasso'd on it for you, so you could see where on the track you were.
He did draw
where the apron was. I just wanted to make sure.
So, all right, this is what race control decided. From the clip, Marshall runs the top along with me. I begin to turn down the track. Marshall begins to get loose with the right rear stepping out. Marshall chases it down the track at the same time I'm moving down. I tag the left rear as Marshall's trying to catch the car. And in the end, it's a racing incident and bad timing. Now, From my point of view, that is not what happened. After I start moving down the track, he then moves down the track and trying to block me from taking him. So now we're from the wall to half a lane off the apron. I'm packing all this fucking air on his spoiler, and he can't fucking hold it down there. So then the car starts stepping out. If you block me 4 or 5 lanes down the racetrack, I'm not lifting for you anymore. That's your fucking problem to save that car. So I ran straight through his shit, and I kept fucking driving.
Oh, and we wonder why people don't like Reynolds.
Yeah. So my 2 negatives here are you were clearly one of the fastest cars in the field. Clearly. Okay. So knowing that tidbit, you've got a guy who in Marshall has been kind of hot and cold since he's been drafted. He runs really well, and then something happens and he crashes, or
what team is he on now?
Or he just finishes bad.
Well, can you tell whose team he's on? I'll give you a fucking wild
Black Axis?
Bandit
Oh no, he's on Fighter Place.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
He's driving a Ford
Yeah.
on a Toyota team. I was just making sure.
So the issues that I have were just kind of issues that I've had the whole time, and that was, I think, race control. They do their job, but I think they're really lenient this season on Rex. I mean, there's times. I've made a mistake. I've made mistakes. I probably deserved a penalty in a couple of those. I'm not gonna lie. But I think race control was really lax with a lot of stuff, and especially after it came out that you said, "Hey, I dumped his shit," which then admits that it wasn't a racing deal. That is no longer a racing deal. When you say I dumped his shit, whether it's a brag or it's honest or it's whatever it is, you didn't lift. You ran him over. You knew you were going to run him over as you went down the track. You were like, "Oh, if you move down, I'm going to turn you." And that's what you did. And for some reason, race control was like, racing deal. It's fine. It's okay. So then again, I mean, I get it. I get where you're coming from, but what I was trying to figure out in the chat was if that is how you race, where we know that you're one of the fastest guys in the field. I'll give you that respect because you are. You got 5 wins on the season. But if you know that you're fast, what is the mindset to just blatantly run someone over? I mean, I'm just curious. Like, I don't have that. I mean, I've had Kent block me. I've had you block me. I've had a lot of people block me. And I've yet to wreck those people. I checked. Yeah, it was probably, it was to my demise, or it hurt me that lap, or hurt me for the handful of laps after. But I didn't run them over. So I guess that's where I'm coming from. Like, I just want to understand the mindset. Maybe I need to drive like that. Maybe that'll make me have 5 wins on a season. But I'm just curious. That's all. I'm not mad about the situation. I'm generally trying to figure out what goes through your mind to make you decide, hey, this guy that generally doesn't finish very well, if he runs down in front of me, I'm just going to run his ass over. It's fine.
Okay, so there's a couple things. This isn't the first time he's driven like a jackass. Even when I was on Bandit, all my fucking teammates complained about he drove like shit. He doesn't race with respect in the first place. So there's issue number 1. Issue number 2. I get that being a playoff driver doesn't mean anything, but I'm trying to fucking race with the playoff guys up front for a fucking win, and you're gonna fucking almost wipe me out 3 fucking lanes down the racetrack. So there's issue number 2. And then 3, it's not my fault. He got loose in front of me after he couldn't hold it. What am I supposed to do? Even if I hit the brakes in that moment, I'm still running him over. So if I just gas it up straight through him, I have a better chance of making it through the fucking wreck. It doesn't matter in any scenario. Either he's still getting wrecked in either scenario, and it's just a matter of fact of I make it through or I don't.
I don't know
and
about you guys. I didn't see it. I
no.
seen it from the broadcast perspective, the rate that you closed, you had enough time to let off.
He's a bumper in front of me. He's a bumper in front of me. There's no room for me to go anywhere.
And that's what, like, you know, Fetter Place has his opinion about how race control is for the 23 season, but you know, from where I was sitting and watched it in real time, I saw him start getting loose, and I was watching. That was where my camera was pointed. That was where the main action was, and when I saw him start to step out, and then at the same time you were making your move to cut to the bottom to get the run off the corners. And I was looking like, oh, this could be an incident coming, which is always the anticipatory part of the race control. And I saw it, and I was like, okay, he's still chasing it, and then contact, and then I just had to wait for, you know, the rest of the wreck to come together before the caution came out. But you know, it was one where I look back through the season, and I don't remember Marshall being in the middle of a lot of these issues. And so I you know, whether it's just the race craft of he's slower, he's in the way, he needs to just move, well, that's not an excuse of anything. Everyone has access to the track and a lane on the track as long as their car is there. So to just run him off because he's there is not the best excuse. Because he's loose in front of you, I'm going to go through him. Still not the best excuse. You know, you still have options of, you know, checking up, you know, change the lane, you know, let him save it at the behest of your own car and his car. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of avenues that could have been traipsed down. You decided to go through him. That's your decision. At the same point, if you ever get loose, someone behind you is going to possibly have the same mindset, and you have to
I've had that happen. People have ran me over plenty of times before. So that's why I don't have an issue with it.
But what we're trying to get out is that mindset of, oh, well, he's getting loose, not my fault, I'm going through.
Right, and that was the point that I was making, was that we, especially us that finish, you know, top 8, top 10, you know, we're generally saying, you know, we wish these cautions would calm down. People wouldn't drive over their heads. You know, there wouldn't be all these pointless cautions, pointless crashes, whatnot. And then to have a guy who's arguably one of the best drivers in the field blatantly say, I dumped his shit. What are we doing? We can't be hypocritical. You can't say that the rest of the field needs to get their shit together, but I can run people over because he's fucking loose in front of me. Like, that's not how that works. It has to be a collective effort from everyone. I mean, I appreciate the conversation. I'm glad that we're having this conversation, but I just feel like the actual thought process is flawed. It doesn't, the whole thing doesn't make sense as a whole. It just doesn't.
Well, the thing is, it's respect. I have not driven around him one time where I haven't been. It started at Gateway, I'm pretty sure. He hasn't. Every time I've seen him around somebody, he's either been involved in the accident or he's driving somebody like complete shit. I'm gonna be honest with you.
What is driving like complete shit? Protecting his lane, throwing late blocks and causing contact, or is he
late
just
blocks, causing contact, driving people up the track? I mean, just a bunch of fucking bullshit.
I see, but I haven't seen that. Is the thing, because we review every incident, and Marshall very rarely is the cause of the incident. Sometimes he is the addition to an incident. But
yeah,
okay, I mean, but even let's still look at this. Even when he starts at the front, how does he end up at the back then? That's my next question.
Well, usually if you're at the front and you go to the back, someone hits you from behind.
Well, I'm just saying I haven't seen anybody hit him yet. He's what Marshall was in the spring, or not Marshall. He's what Daniel was in the spring.
Daniel was a missile without fins.
That's exactly what Marshall is.
But no, Marshall has not been an issue from like I have not been actively seeking out to look what's Marshall doing versus I do that with some of the other drivers to see, okay, I know these are dive bomb tracks or these are high aggression tracks. I'm looking for those drivers to possibly where there may be cautions that could come out. I don't actively seek out the 16 car and find where he is on the track to see what's going on. While he is involved on as an addition piece, he is very rarely the cause or the first victim.
All right, well, let me stop you right here. Bren Roberts in chat. You can go back to Gateway and Daytona where he dumped my shit to find examples of him racing like a dick. I'm not the only one.
Here's the thing: is everyone says dumped your shit. That means there's some kind of intentional action versus it just being a racing accident and your emotions overtopping it. So if he's involved in racing incidents, that's how racing happens sometimes. Is he actively going out and hunting down left and right rears to hook people? No, we haven't seen that. He wouldn't be racing anymore. And so that's what I'm saying. Like over a 36 race season, you're gonna have issues with drivers where you just run out of real estate, or break points are different, or I'm loose in front of you. The checkup didn't occur in time to help me save it. Those are gonna happen throughout the year. But when you pile an instant emotion on top of it and say he dumped my shit, yes, but it was not intentional. Here are the variables and causation of the entire incident. So while we've only had one intentional wrecking penalty thrown out, and Fetter Place mentioned about the leniency of the race control penalties coming from the wreck side of it, it's because we need absolute 100%. This was an intentional act at the moment it happened and when the review was occurring, and obviously Reynolds' statement came days later. So
Right.
and so whereas in 23 we can't do much about it except for what's in the moment. And whereas we talked about Chicago Street, that was it. We watched it, we're like instantly you knew that was as intentional as it gets.
And like I said earlier, Reynolds, you weren't here. I told them that, I sent the broadcast to someone that I really respect, and I told them to look at it. I respect their opinion, their thoughts, and what they would say about the situation. And they echoed what Kent said. They said that they believed that you had time to check, but they also said that they believed it was a racing incident, that it was that it didn't appear to be intentional. And I mean, like I said, I know it sounds like I'm kind of coming down on you and just being an asshole, but I was just curious. I mean, I just didn't understand where all of that comes from. I just don't have it.
Chicago?
No, Kansas. He's talking about the Kansas where your thought process of just check up, let him save or lose it, and go around.
Right. That was all.
Well, all right. Well, here's the difference. If let's say, I don't know, it's a playoff driver. Let's say it's fucking Seth.
The driver shouldn't matter. The driver shouldn't matter.
The driver does matter.
All the drivers on track. All drivers on track deserve to be on track and in their space, lane, whatever. Just because they're not a playoff driver does not make them a ghost on the track.
Okay. All right, fine. It's fucking regular season. Every driver does not deserve the same amount of respect. You're telling me after
I didn't say respect. I didn't say respect. But they deserve their space on the track. You don't get to just take their space because they're a driver that's not going to compete for the overall title.
Okay, whatever. Fine. Fucking race win, I don't know. Fucking something. Stage win, I don't know. If it's fucking David Wright versus Fetter Place, I'm going to give Fetter Place the room over fucking David Wright. The driver instantly matters in every scenario, without a doubt.
I think
tight racing is one thing. Intentional contact or the thought process of I'm not going to lift because of who this person is, I'm going to make contact, is a thought that needs to kind of go away. If you're racing them tight, that's fine. No problem there. If you're racing them hard, no problem. But when you're actively initiating contact without the thought of I can help him not wreck this car and I have another option, that's what we're asking, the avenue we're asking people to take.
Well, and Reynolds has a point. I will give him that. He's got a point. You know, you do race different people differently on the track. That is a thing. That is real. But I think that's kind of where that starts to kind of go the other way, and that is, you know, kind of echo what you said. You know, you don't, even with knowing who that other person is, you don't dump their shit, I guess, is the point. You know, but you do race people differently. I mean, you're right. You know, I race several people differently on that track. I mean, I'm pretty sure I race everyone differently on that track, to be honest with you, because I've had run-ins with, you know, different people, and I know who they are, and I know how to run them, and so I mean, you have a point, but you know, I think the overall point was just that, you know, what the overall outcome was. Clearly, nothing happened. It was a racing incident, or ruled a racing incident.
I have nowhere to go in that scenario. It's a racing incident regardless. If I hit the brakes, I'm still hitting him because I'm going to lock up if I hit the brakes too hard, and I'm just going to send right into him. It doesn't matter in either scenario. He's a bumper in front of me.
Well, what would help is that you don't come out and say, "Yeah, I dumped his shit," because now you put your.
It doesn't matter though. If you look at the replay, he's a quarter fucking bumper in front of me. What am I going to do?
But we ruled it a racing incident. It's like we can't do. We like there's nothing. We said, yeah, Reynolds, there's nothing you could do. Maybe you could have backed off, maybe not. But racing incident, and then you come out days later and say, I dumped his shit. Now you put race control in a bad spot because now race control sitting there is like, we gave you the benefit of the doubt that you couldn't go anywhere, and then you just blatantly said, nope, I fucked him. I went right through his ass. Like you see how that puts the admin in a bad position? Because now the drivers are like, what are you going to do about it? It's like, what? We already ruled on this. We can't really do anything about it.
Hey Ryan, what does this sound like? Well, Ryan's on the phone, so he can't talk. But Theme, does this remind you of anything in real life? Was that Denny Hamlin?
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? So you know, that's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I do agree Reynolds that he should be able to say whatever he wants. He should.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, at some point, we have to. You have to. You know what I mean? Like it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. So Reynolds, I asked Ryan this, and I asked the group this about fast forward this to the 24 rule package that is coming out, where you have a limited number of incidents or cautions you can cause before you start accruing points penalties. Does that change your possible mindset as to making contact with drivers, knowing that there could be a consequence in the points realm that could affect your playoff or regular season standings?
It depends. If it's the spring Kansas race, maybe. If it's the fall Kansas race, nope, I'm racing in the same fucking way.
So even if those 5 points you lose cause you to not be in the final four, you're gonna be like, fuck it, I'm running them over.
Yep, in that scenario, I'm running them over because it's getting me through that wreck with the least amount of damage.
But you're sacrificing the championship for an incident.
How would I know in that scenario? There's no way for me to know.
You know where your points kind of lie. But you at that point you'd be like, man, I'm with. It's going to be a tug and go 3 to 5 point gap, and you're telling me a 5 point penalty is worth running a guy over versus checking up.
Look, I've been out of the podcast for a second. I had to take a phone call. But what did I tell y'all before Tommy Earls came out here?
Oh, wait, yeah. Well, we're just confirming his
He's going to drive like he's going to drive. It doesn't matter what our fucking rules are. The motherfucker's going to drive how he's going to drive, and so is everyone else.
Well, all I can say is, Reynolds, save your at-fault cautions for the playoffs if that's the mindset, because I'd hate to have to hit you with a 5 point penalty each time.
Can we?
We'll see.
I'd love.
No, I wouldn't either. But I mean, you only get 5 of them for the year, so.
I mean,
I got to give Fetter Place a chance somehow.
Oh, Jesus! Didn't Fetter Place beat you in the regular season? So
I missed
chance
2 races.
was taken.
Yeah,
that sounds like a personal problem.
I missed 2 races too, and here I am battling for fucking dead last and fucking playoff.
I'm running a Bristol fixed race, and this setup's not bad.
Yeah, setups have gotten a lot better since the season 4 with the season 4 update.
They just tightened them up. They made an actual setup and not this dog shit they had before.
Well,
I was actually going to ask. I was actually
why do we
did anything else? And that was, has anybody run Bristol yet?
I'm running it right now.
Seth is running it.
It feels good.
But
is it better
to go
than
off,
it was last time, where you got wild loose out of fucking each corner?
No, it's not like that at all.
Yeah,
It's not like that at all. It's way better.
It goes back to, remember when the next gen first came out and the setups were basically super speedway packages for everything a mile and a half and above, because they didn't know what to do with the car, like setup wise. Then they started getting a little input as people were doing sim tests, and they got a little better, but they were tight on entry, snap loose on exit. And everyone's like, these things are goddamn undrivable. Go back to the super speedway style. Then we started getting some real racing, and then more updates started coming as real data was coming in from NASCAR teams and drivers, and those setups started to get a little better. Still not to the liking of what people wanted, because they were still learning the car. Now we're 2 years into this car, and the real world data has had a chance to mature and go into these cars, and now we're starting to see, okay, the fixed setups and the open setups are more realistic to what we see on TV, in that they're not just complete break loose. There is still a margin of error, so like we said, or some people said a year and a half ago, give it time, let the real world data come in, let it matriculate down into these setups, and the racing will get better. But we instantly go to, this setup's a piece of shit. It's like, well, maybe it's your driving style is a piece of shit compared to this setup, and they don't mesh real well. Because, like, what race did Bryn won the first race of the playoffs, and everyone was like, this setup is shit, and Bryn was just like, fuck you guys, I'm gone. I love this thing.
Okay, well,
it's a personality versus the setup, and the setup's not going to change.
The thing that, from what I heard, is they intentionally made the setup slower. The setups when they first
made the cars slower too. So in real life,
yeah. So I mean, it's mimicking real world racing. There was no reason. Let's put it this way: we were running races a second and a half faster. Like on ovals, we were a half a second faster than the Cup cars, and on road courses, we were like a second and a half faster than the real world cars. And I told Ryan, I go, that should not be happening. And that shows you that was the gap between where the data was and the setups were for iRacing versus the real world. And I think they're starting to get closer together.
Okay, I'll throw up a Bristol
that also wasn't iRacing setups, which we were not going to
talk
about that shit, because I will fucking
What kind of setups were they?
I will fucking rip some motherfuckers' asses if I ever figure out who fucking ratted my ass out.
Dumb bastards.
We ain't got time to talk about it, because we've been on here for 2 fucking hours, you fucking assholes.
We will not talk about
we said
tonight.
1 hour.
Yeah.
1 hour.
I came on here and it was an
Reynolds
hour 15.
Yeah, Reynolds came in an hour 15 late, because 8 o'clock means 9:15.
I told everybody I was going to be an hour-ish late because I had work.
And you were on trial. You need to show up for your court date on time.
That's right.
Fuck you, bitch.
Can I have my award? Can I do my award thing?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I have and I don't want to mess this up. So hold on. I have to thank Rick James for his audio clip. For it was his audio snippet, and he wants me to mention for everyone to go watch TNT on Thursday nights. The Seth Wansing.
How much did he pay you for that?
Are you kidding me, Reynolds? Reynolds, all you had to do was be quiet.
Award.
You gotta play it again. Gotta play it again. So.
Play it again. Reynolds messed it up. Reynolds ruined it.
Reynolds. All right. So the Seth Wansing award goes to Kerr for no breaking into the first 6 accidents. I'm just saying, what are you doing? What is this?
I agree. I agree 100%. But
Yeah,
Not
rough
Kerr's
night.
best race.
No, yeah, rough night for Kerr. And Lighter.
Well, Lighter's the only one that ended up with a penalty after because he pulled a Feimster, just couldn't quite hold his finger off that button.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't give a fuck at that moment in time. And I thought all 28 other fucking people in that lobby were a bunch of fucking idiots at that point in time when I came over on Racecom. So
yeah, that's exactly what Lighter thought, but everyone also thought, Lighter, you didn't quite hit the brake until you hit someone else.
Yeah, I've thought that a lot of times. Trust me. I do ARCS events almost every night, and
I keep my finger off the button.
It's
well, I'm on push to talk, and even then, I'm there's times where Tom is like, "Don't say shit, don't you say nothing." I'm like,
push to talk should be required.
Yeah,
push to talk should be required.
I'm yelling at my monitor instead.
Yeah. I can't hide from push to talk anymore now that I live stream my races.
Oh, I should totally go back and watch that.
Oh, well.
That's the only reason why I don't live stream is only because I know team chat's in there, and if anybody's on my Twitch, they'll be able to go back and listen to.
Well, the good thing is you can't get in trouble for what you say in team chat.
Yeah.
Per the new rule book, it only in public settings can you get in trouble for it.
Ooh.
So what you say in a team chat is free and clear, but what you open mic say and open chat type is all up for review.
Even though the president would be in my, like the Presidente of ARCS would be in my team. If I say I'm dumping this motherfucker and I dump a motherfucker, hey, that works.
Your actions will not conclude with your words, but your actions will get you a nice couple race suspension though.
Oh yeah, I'll make it. It may be an accident,
right?
When an accident just dumped the motherfucker, I got loose.
As long
as what you talking about?
As long as it's an accident, we'll be okay. All right, let's wrap this shit up. We have gone way too long, so appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you, Emma, for coming out. Tommy Reynolds, fuck you. Martinsville, Seth Wansing, fuck you. Kansas, Brandon Fetter Place, fuck you. Every race.
Every fucking race.
Kevin Feimster, fuck you, Kansas. Let's wrap this shit up. Feimster, I'll let you take us out. And we'll close this motherfucker out.
Yep. Thanks everybody watching. Everybody who will watch later. It's supposed to be an hour show. We went 2 hours. Fuck y'all for that. You bunch of fucking liars. But till next time, y'all. Thanks for listening to the Unfiltered Dirty Air podcast. We out.
See y'all.